French Creek is an example of a healthy stream, teeming with unique life forms that attract attention from scientists worldwide.
How many here do not know how to canoe?
The natural beauty here creates an ideal place for fishing, bird watching, and boating, among many other activities.
The Nature Conservancy 7 or 8 years ago listed French Creek as one of the last great places in the United States, and they did that because of its extraordinary biological diversity. French Creek has 89 species of fish, 27 species of freshwater mussels. For a stream of its size, it's one of the most diverse, not only in Pennsylvania, but the northeastern part of the United States, so it's an extraordinarily diverse stream system. French Creek is a site that is visited by scientists from Pennsylvania, from around the country, and actually from around the world.
We collect all the mussels we see, and we put them in a bag with a tag on it, and we move on down. This is part of the qualitative stage of our survey, so we're just doing a presence-absence, just trying to find out what's in here. Mussels. A lot of them are going to be the same thing. We measure all these, sex them, and identify them. This is Lampsilus fasciola, the wavy-rayed lamp mussel, and this mussel is unique. This genus, all these mussels have a little mimic that looks like a fish that wiggles in the current, and either a fish tries to mate with it or tries to eat it. Instead of getting a meal, it gets a face full of the little larva Glaucidia, and then they attach. They don't hurt the fish, but they do attach onto the fish and then are able to travel upstream, and that way the species continues.
Can we dive this next one? I don't think.
And the other thing about French Creek is it used to flow a different direction into St. Lawrence, and then when the glaciers came through, it actually flowed back the other way, so it has both species from St. Lawrence drainage and from the Ohio River drainage, so that's what gives it its diversity, and it's one of the most diverse streams out east.
In 1995, a number of partners came together to create the French Creek Project because of the extraordinary biological diversity that exists in this watershed and because there are threats to the stream system. The purpose of the project is to raise public awareness about the value of French Creek, the fact that this is an extraordinarily diverse system, that it's unusual because of that diversity and deserves special protection. Last year, the French Creek Project began an eco-tour program. We have 20 canoes and 8 kayaks, and we get people out on the water so they can learn with first-hand experience about what French Creek is all about. We think it's the best way to get people to understand about the stream system.
All right, we're going to try to stay together as a group. If there's wildlife, if somebody's way out in front, they'll be the only folks that will see it, okay? So we don't want to be banging our boats together, but we will stay close.
This just seems like a wonderful thing to do for the day, plus I really enjoy canoeing and have done a lot of canoeing all over, so.
This is going to be my first trip in 50 years, and this is all because of my son and daughter-in-law. They thought it would be a good adventure for us, and really looking forward to doing this.
I often think about French Creek as kind of a treasure chest, and it reflects the kind of biological diversity that Washington would have seen in 1753 when he visited here. When you look below the surface of French Creek, you see the same kind of aquatic diversity that he would have seen 250 years ago. And there are very few streams in the state of Pennsylvania and elsewhere in the country that you can say that about. But you can say it about French Creek, and that's what makes it unique.
if we appreciate what we have,
we will learn the value in keeping it.
Living in a big city can make you feel like you have no connection to the natural world. But even in the middle of a metropolis, many species live and thrive. Held in a different Pittsburgh park every year, the Bio Blitz is an event that educates the public about biodiversity and gives scientists a chance to get a snapshot of the park's diversity. While the scientists fan out and count as many species as they can, volunteer groups do restoration work, experts lead nature hikes, and workshops are offered for local school groups. It's a day full of activities that inform the intellect and ignite the imagination.
If you would stop and look at a puddle, you could find a lot of life there. And I'm going to show you a teensy-weensy stream, but there's an awful lot of life there. And I'm going to show you how to do a quick little science experiment so we can kind of get a picture in our minds of what kinds of animals use this as their habitat.
Look at this plant. All right, everybody. Come this way.
Would a beaver live here?
No. Yes. No.
No.
Yes.
Probably no beavers live here now. It's not really big enough at this point. But it doesn't mean that beavers couldn't move into this area at some point. What about a polar bear?
No.
What about a cheetah?
No.
What about a boa constrictor?
No. Yes. Yes. There are some.
You can keep those on. You know, you guys can spread down this way. You can go to different areas. I'll help you. Come on.
Where's the beetle at? Where? Let me see. Can I see? Here got a mosquito.
We got a beetle.
Got a beetle right here.
Don't let it get away.
The BioBlitz began outside Washington, D.C., and it's been conducted in a number of cities across the country. Pittsburgh got on the bandwagon in 1997 and thought it would be a really appropriate thing to do here. We believe Pittsburgh was one of the first cities to include the public, to invite the public to come interact.
Is this one alive?
Yes, I think it is.
We've invited two of the local schools, two schools that are right here in Highland Park, to come up and spend the day with us in the park and learn about the different mammals that we have in Pennsylvania, the different plants we have in Pennsylvania, the water resources we have, the insects.
Sniffs. They have more teeth than any other mammal. Only the females have pouches. What other animal has a pouch?
I think one of the things that's so wonderful about it is a lot of these kids, even though they live close to the park, have not utilized the park much yet. And this is getting them excited about the park, showing them what kinds of wonderful activities they can do in the park. Biodiversity is really looking at all the different interconnections of all the different types of plants and animals and insects that relate in a given area, in an ecosystem. And these parks here in Pittsburgh are, in a way, little island ecosystems in and of themselves. And the plants and animals that live here really depend on each other for their survival. Something will eat something else. And if something is gone, that food source is no longer present, and that may mean that the thing that ate it will now be gone, and the thing that ate that in turn will be gone. And so step by step you can kind of dismantle an ecosystem. The ecological restoration projects are a really neat component of the BioBlitz because we're actually asking the public to come into the park with us and do some biodiversity restoration. We're going to be planting native forest species. We're going to replace the shrub and small tree layer.
This is one of our shrubs, and I think that it's elderberry. It is. So this will be good for our native wildlife because it produces the elderberry, and that's what they like to eat. Right here.
The non-natives, they choke out the other, they compete for food and water, and they choke out the native species, and they don't provide food for the animals. So they choke out the food, which is bad for the animals, which is bad for the environment in general.
This is the last evidence of an ancient sea that covered this entire region.
Community events like the BioBlitz are now happening worldwide as a fun and exciting way for people to get out and learn about the natural heritage in their own backyards. Through education, the idea of preserving our biodiversity will hopefully become a common goal, raising awareness and inspiring action.